Welcome back to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones, and I'm here with another week with Jason Barrett. And we're here to help you become the best version of you, a role model to your family and your kids with your health and fitness. Today, how are you going, Jace?
I'm doing good, man. I'm been consistent in my training for a little while, which is part of what we're going to be covering today, which has been good. But yeah, man, otherwise things are going smooth. Gaining a little bit of weight each week, which is the goal. Trying to get huge in the winter so I can be jacked and shredded in the summer. It's the classic bulk cut. No plans for a high rocks this year yet. I'll work on my cardio when I'm shredding. What about yourself?
Pretty good, man. Just getting the K's in for the legs. Obviously, I got a high rocks doubles in just over a month. So I'm trying to get 70 to 90 Ks of running in a week at the moment, just to try and keep my legs turning over. I'm actually quite tired today from today's run. I think I did I'm doing about 14 Ks a day, just a mix between some slower pace sort of recovery based runs and some intervals. So it's good. That's why I'm tired. I'm cramming my 7 days of training into 5 days because I've got soccer all weekend this weekend for one of my sons. I'm driving up north to watch him in a soccer tournament. So my long runs, normally I would do it on a Sunday, which is a bit more cruisy of a day. I had to sort of push it in earlier in the week. So sometimes you adapt and overcome. As a dad, you cram stuff in, and that's life, mate.
You should just be running around the soccer pitch. You should be doing laps just like that. You reckon, how long is the soccer match? 90 minutes?
Mate, exactly. I was thinking that
15
myself.
Ks.
I was thinking that myself. I think he has like 8 games over the Saturday, Sunday. I was like, mate, that's like 8 lots of warming up. I was like, I'm sure I could find some time, but we will see how it goes. But also this weekend, it's scheduled for like 5 to 20 mils of rain on both days. So I'm like, wow, nice. That is going to be so fun. But today, guys, what we're going to be talking about is the 5 training mistakes that are stopping you from losing fat and what to actually do again instead. Because you're training and you're sweating and you're doing the thing, which is fantastic, but your gut's still there, and that's the problem. And the truth is, like, fat loss, it isn't just about showing up. You've got to make sure we're doing the right things to get the reward. And today's episode, we're going to break down the top 5 mistakes that most dads make with their training that is silently killing their gains and what to do instead. So my mistake number 1 is too much cardio and not enough resistance training. And I talk to dads all the time who are like, oh, I'm just going to do some running because that's what lost the weight in the past. And I sort of tell them, I was like, yeah, man. And that's probably one of the reasons that you gain the weight back as well. We need to actually do some form of strength training. The average male loses 5% total muscle mass every decade after 30. So 30 to 40, it's 5%, 40 to 50, 5%. You get into 60, you're 15% of muscle mass down, and that's being actually quite generous. So when we're looking at this, we do resistance training, 1, to keep muscle mass on your body, and that's just good because if you fall over in your 70s, you don't want to break stuff, right? So we're looking at pure longevity. 2, we don't want to look like we're skinny and scrawny. That's not a good thing. If you've got a daughter and she brings over a boy in the teens, you want to have some bit of muscle mass on. Jason's got a good 10-year bulking ahead of him right now. That's literally why he's bulking.
I want to look like Eddie Hall by the end of it,
Exactly. But we want to put the muscle mass on because it helps with our metabolic rate as well. To keep fat off and aesthetics. Hey, everyone wants some good arms, shoulders, and your shirt sitting off your chest and not your gut. So most dads default to running because it could have worked in the past. A lot of people do this, HIIT classes or circuit classes for fat loss, and 100%, guys, it burns calories, but it also burns muscle if we're doing it excessively. And I think that's a big thing. We don't want to be breaking down muscle mass and fat mass at the same time because less muscle equals a slower metabolism, which equals harder for fat loss, or you're losing the same 10 kilos every decade for the next 30 years. And we don't want that. And what do we want to do instead, Jace?
Well, for most people, they focus, and this comes because they focus on weight loss and not fat loss, right? So it's like, I just want to get the number on the scale down and that's all that matters. But I was chatting to one of my guys about this the other day. You need to focus on losing fat, and that might mean the scale drops a bit slower. But that also means you prioritize resistance training instead of cardio. And yes, you're still going to burn some calories. Like an intense HIIT session is going to burn more calories than a weight training session, but we'll talk about intensity in a little bit. But weight training is still going to, it's still going to fire up the furnace, right? But the biggest benefit is that any kind of resistance training, it's, your body operates on, if you don't use it, you lose it. The more you don't use your legs, right? Like someone who goes through an injury and they can't walk for 6 months, their leg muscles atrophy because they don't use them. Same thing goes for, think about how often you use your biceps and your chest in a day. It's probably, unless you're a tradie, not that often. So you've got to have some kind of training in there where you are moving and utilizing the muscle so that it grows, and you want to be doing that through resistance training. So whether that's body weight, whether that's using dumbbells, whether that's kettlebells, barbells, machines, whatever, as long as you're challenging your muscle, again, we've talked about this before, somewhere between 6 and 30 reps and somewhere around 2 reps shy of failure, which we'll talk about in the next couple of sections. But that's what you need to be doing. You need to be prioritizing more so prioritize your resistance training, get your steps in outside of your training, and then if you have some bonus time, go for cardio. Good for heart health. It's not something you should cut out completely, but there should at least be, in my opinion, like a 70-30 focus if you are on a fat loss plan to prioritize keeping your muscle and gaining some muscle. Because if you've never done resistance training before, you're going to get a good chunk of that. You're going to do what we call the body recomposition, where you gain muscle and you lose fat at the same time if you've never trained. And that's optimal. That's exactly what you want. Because the more muscle you have, as Trav said, essentially you become a less fuel efficient car. You go from a little hatchback that doesn't burn many calories to a big Ford F-150 that's gas guzzling, and that's what you want, right? You want to be as inefficient fuel wise as possible, so you can eat as much food as you want and still stay the same. So you get that by having more muscle and using that muscle more frequently.
100%. So let's speed up our metabolism, guys, speed up our fat loss, build the engine, and lift some weights. I think if you can, like 3 times a week of weight training is fantastic. If you want to do a 4th weight training, great. And then if you do have time for a 4th, then supplement your cardio in then. And that's if you're in a fat loss phase, guys. So this is specifically, if you're listening to this, you want to lose 10, 20, 30 kilos, then, 3 times a week of strength training or weight training is probably the most key thing, and then getting your steps up as well. Next thing we actually make a mistake with is you're not training hard enough. You're going through the motions, and going through the motions doesn't actually change your body, right? If your workout is too easy, it's a maintenance. It's not a transformation. And most dads are going to stop short of failure. They don't push into discomfort, and they're leaving, I guess, their gains and their results on the table. So as Jace did allude to before, like we want to be pushing to 1 to 2 reps from failure in most of your sets. So if you're doing a bench press, for example, and when we say 1 to 2 reps from failure, it means, let's just say we're doing 3 sets, 3 working sets. And I think this is a crucial aspect here. So if it says 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, let's just say, for example, your 3 sets are actually 3 working sets in your program. Before those 3 sets, you probably should have done 2 warm-up sets to get you to your working weight, okay? Because if it is only 3 sets, they should be 3 working sets. So you're doing maybe you're doing it with the bar, and then you put 2 20s on the sides, and you do it with 60 kilos, and then you put another 10 each side, and then the first one might be, 12 reps at 80 kilos, and then you put another 5 each side, and then you're going, okay, cool, I'm going to do the 11 to 12 reps at the 90 kilos, and you're getting towards the end, you're like, okay, I've got 2 reps in me, maybe I could do 13. If I went for 14, I would be trapped under the bar, asking for someone to help get me out of it. And that's what 1 to 2 reps from failure is like. You could do 2 more reps, and if not, you are trapped. And then you go up to 100 kilos, and maybe like you grind out 10 reps and you're like, oh my God, if I did 11, I wouldn't have been able to push up there. You'd end up being a video on Instagram where you get stuck and you're a gym fail, right? And that is literally 1 to 2 reps from failure. And a lot of people don't do it, 1, because they don't like discomfort, but 2, they aren't sure where it is, or they don't know where their failure is. And a good way to do it sometimes is to decrease the weight and maybe go, okay, well, I'm going to leave it at 80 kilos. I'm going to see how many reps I can do with 80 kilos, okay? And you're pumping it out, and it's like it's called an AMRAP set. It's as many reps as possible. So you pump out, and you're like, okay, I can do 14 or I can do 15 reps at the 80 kilos just before I'm about to fail. It's like, okay, great. That means I can definitely do 90 kilos for my 10 to 12 reps, or I can definitely do that sort of 100 kilos. It gives you a bit of a guider. And then if you aren't training with a training partner, one, you could switch to dumbbells if you want to, but again, you don't want to throw dumbbells on the ground because then you're just a dick. But we don't want to do that. We want to be able to put the dumbbells down well. But just put your spotting arms up on the rack. And I'll do that so that it's just above my chest. So when I'm lowering it down, if I go, to my chest, it hits hit my chest, it hits the spotting arms. So if I do get to failure and I can't push it back up, I'm never getting stuck. And I think that's a crucial thing. Or if you really need to, go and use the Smith machine. And then you can just rack it if you get stuck as well. I probably don't say that to use the Smith machine as much because you're going to be, again, burning less calories and you're losing the stabilizer muscles. But get the spotting arms up and let them be your spotting partner. That's literally what they're called. So I think that is a key thing that I see people don't do as well. So track your lifts. Make sure you're training 1 to 2 reps from failure. And if you are hitting 12 reps or you are hitting 10 reps this week at your 100 kilos, okay, next week and you've tracked it, go for 11. That increases the volume. It shows you that you got something. Tracking your lift shows you got something to beat. I think this is a massive thing. What do you think, Jace?
I agree. It's something that challenges me every week. I'm in more of a muscle gain phase, and all of this stuff goes doubly as important for a muscle gain phase. Like, there's no point in going for a muscle gain phase if you're not going to train hard. Like, it's just pointless. But for me, like, I actually, I not quite disagree, but I think that when it comes to using something like the Smith machine or the chest press machine, I've taken to, instead of doing bench, like, I'll do an incline dumbbell press. I never drop them because it's easy to know when I've failed, because you just literally, if you can't, and then you can just, you gently lower them down. That's what you do. You respect your gym's equipment. But when it comes to like my second session of the week, I will often do a machine press because I know I can just, because I'd be nervous sometimes with a bench. If I don't have a spotter, I would be nervous to go as hard as I could. Whereas with this lying plate press, I could just fucking pump it out and even do the little reps at the bottom and increase that intensity there. So, and again, it's not a way of you copping out. It's a way of going, cool, well, now I can push myself harder. I particularly like a Smith machine press for like a seated overhead. I find that from a stability perspective for a lot of people, like a seated overhead press with the Smith machine, just because, again, you can rack it easy, but sometimes as well, the angle of the Smith machine can be a bit weird.
I think when we're looking for like fat loss and also hypertrophy, right, we want to try and target the muscle that we're going for as best as we possibly can. Okay. So it's literally why I'm not going to tell someone to do a ridiculous, okay, let's do a lunge into a curl, into a squat and press at the same time, which you'll see on Instagram, and someone's doing some crazy thing. It's like, well, you're not using a stimulus on any muscle that's specific. So we're not putting any intensity. When we call that intensity, it's like close to our 1 rep max or 8 rep max or whatever we're doing. We're not putting the right intensity through any muscle you work in, because if you are putting the right amount of intensity for your lunges, you might be holding 20 to 25 kilo dumbbells. Now,
you're not curling that.
You're not curling that at all. And you're not going from a lunge to a curl and into a shoulder press and then carefully bringing them back down into your lunge again. It's like, so not only are you not stimulating your legs, you're also not stimulating your biceps, because, okay, what are we going to do instead? Okay, I'm going to do 10 kilos. It's like you go into your lunge and then you go into your curl and then to your press. Okay, well, I might be stimulating my biceps, but I'm not going for my shoulders, and I'm definitely not stimulating my legs. So it's like, let's stop trying the combo moves, okay, and let's like focus. And I think, I agree, Jace, it's like, if you do have the ability to use machines to then isolate, when I say isolate, take out the supplementary muscles and do like a flat machine hammer strength press. I love that sort of press machine. Or if you are using a Smith machine, because it's going to give you the stability to just really feel the muscle. And I think when you've got less shit going on, you can actually focus on the muscle you're trying to work as well. I think that is as a big thing. So you can get the mind-muscle connection.
Yeah, that's why I often recommend wrist wraps and straps for guys doing. Yeah. For me, there was a game changer for back work because I wasn't limited by my grip, but also for leg work. I could hold 25 kilo dumbbells in each hand and just do lunges, and I'm not thinking like, oh, my fingers are going to fall off. I'm just thinking, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand up for the next rep, right? And it's also why we recommend you don't go to failure on things like squats, deadlifts, not necessarily because, you know, if you fail on a deadlift, right, you just put the bar back down on the ground, but it's more so the injury aspect of it. You don't want to go too crazy. But whatever you're doing, you want to be feeling intensity. You want to be feeling like, all right, I'm training hard. I'm hitting these muscles hard, and that kind of you can do that through a number of different things, right? You can do back-to-back sets of the same muscle, like you could do like a chest superset where you're doing press and then flies, and you know you're absolutely fucking smoking that muscle. But this kind of leads into point number 3, which is your split. Now, a lot of guys, they train a bro split, and this is what a lot of people know. If you don't know what a bro split is, it's different body part every day. You've a day for biceps or arms, a day for chest, a day for back, a day for shoulders, a day for legs. That's 5 days in a week. Now, if you want to hit a muscle optimally and have it grow optimally, the science recommends 2 to 3 times a week, right? Depending on the muscle group. For some people, like, you know, very difficult to hit hamstrings hard 2 to 3 times a week because they're a group that just you feel them for a fucking week and a half afterwards. Same thing for, you know, for some people for their chest, it takes a long time to recover, but things like shoulders, back, quads, like they feel hard and then they recover pretty well. So if you're trying to hit it 2-3 times a week, you've got a 5-day-a-week plan. Cool, I'm going to do chest today. But then, you know, you're a dad. Shit gets busy. You don't have time to go to the gym 5 days a week for an hour each time. You're doing an overkill. You'd be better off spreading that one session over the 3 sessions and just doing some other stuff along with it. And that's what we call like a full body split or an upper lower split, where, you know, my training at the moment is I have one lower body day, which is focused on primarily rehab for my lower back as well as my legs and flexibility. That's my focus. And then my other 2 days that I get into the gym, if I get them, sometimes I don't, is upper body focused, because that's primarily what I want to grow. I'm happy with my lower body except for my calves, but, you know, I'll complain about that till the cows come home. And it's probably because I'm not putting enough effort into them. I should train them more. But you need to know what your split is. You need to know what your schedule is, so that way when you go to the gym, it's the most effective. And when I came out of not training for like 2-3 weeks because kids were sick and, you know, shit was hitting the fan, the first couple of sessions was like I'd be 1 or 2 a week, and it would just be full body. Right? Like, cool. What exercise do I feel like doing for chest today? I'm going to do 4 sets of that till failure, done. What do I feel like doing for legs today? I'm going to do that for legs, done. Like the more bang for buck has to come from your whole session, and knowing that, cool, I might not get this in, being flexible with that, and knowing, all right, I might need to train a bit more than just chest today.
I completely agree, mate. I think if you can get 3 times a week, and I'll talk to a lot of guys, I don't like training legs because back in the day I hurt my knee. Or I don't train legs because I walk all day. It's like, guys, we need to build muscle mass on our legs for the longevity of your knees. I think that's a massive thing you have to understand. And if you're carrying an extra 20, 30 kilos, 100%, we need to be training. You know, the biggest muscles in the body are your glutes and in your quads, and they're going to burn the most calories. And also they release growth hormone. So they're going to help with the fat loss. They're going to help you with feeling fantastic. So I think for all of you out there, if you can train 3 times a week, what I would probably do is, one, you know, if we can do full body, and we're looking purely as a fat loss and muscle preservation, a little bit of muscle mass gain. If we're doing 3 days a week, then sprinkle legs in every day. You could go into, or you could go a lower body focus, an upper body focus, and a full body session. Okay, so you're still getting legs in twice a week. So the frequency is 2, so you're doing it twice a week. That means you can go, okay, I'm going to do some giant sets and get some full fatigue. But a lot of guys will say, it's like, I can't do my work if my legs can't work. So, you know, we don't want to be too sore, and that means, okay, well, let's get our legs done every single day. We're going to get, you know, maybe 12 to 18 working sets across the week, but it might be, you know, 5 sets, okay, 5 sets each session. And we might do leg presses on Monday with some RDLs, so some Romanian deadlifts. On Wednesdays, we're going to do some, might be more supplementary, you can do some lying hamstring curls and some leg extensions. And on Fridays, you might hit some deadlifts and some hack squats, right? So you're getting more stability, because I wouldn't do back squats and deadlifts on the same day. It's just going to fry your back, but a hack squat's going to look after your back. So you can do deadlifts on the same day as that. So you're getting a bit more quad and hamstring. So when we're looking at it, guys, It's not just walking into the gym and going, oh, back when I was a teenager, this is what I used to do, so I'm going to do it again. Guys, it doesn't work like that. We don't want you to work like that. You're not a teenager. You do have issues. You do have injuries. But just because you have a knee injury doesn't mean you don't work legs. Probably the biggest thing you need is to strengthen the muscle on the inside of your knee, which is a VMO, which helps support your patella, your knee. So I think for us, we need to be specific about your programming, and then again, you're going to train your chest, again, 15 sets across the week. You might be doing a flat bench, an incline press bench. It could be a plate press like we talked about earlier. We're going to be training our back. We could be doing some pull-ups, some pull-downs, some seated row. We could be doing our shoulders, some lateral raises, some face pulls, and some shoulder press or an Arnold press. So if we're looking at scattering across the week, guys, we can get and we're having a day or 48 hours in between our workouts, we can get adequate recovery. We can have a high stimulus. We can get 15 to 18 working sets per muscle group per week, and we can optimize our training with a scientific approach. And I think that's the most key thing that we're talking about. It's not bro split, it's a dad split. And a dad split means let's do the right shit because we have to be effective.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got time. Right, which kind of brings us into the next point, which is for a lot of guys, and this is, the younger dads probably be guilty of it, but you're on your phone, you're checking the time. Oh yeah, just did my set. I might scroll a little bit. Oh, a message came through. Maybe I reply to that. Someone's posted this on Instagram. Next thing you know, it's been like fucking 3-4 minutes between your sets. You're not doing powerlifting. You're not a strong man. You don't need you're not doing sets of 3 to complete failure. You're not a week out from competition. You are training to hit that failure point. And guess what? You hit that failure point a hell of a lot easier when you're not resting 4 or 5 minutes in between sets. 60 seconds is probably 60 seconds to I was going to say 60 seconds to a minute. 60 to 90 seconds. 60 seconds or a minute, you get to pick. 60 to 90 seconds is a great range of rest, right? Any more than that, and you're kind of getting to the point where you're recovering enough to do, and this is a good indicator for me of intensity. If you've got 4 sets, right, and you've got, for me, let's say I was grabbing 30 kilo dumbbells and I'm doing 2 sets with those, 2 sets with 25s. If my first set of 30 kilos when I'm doing an incline press is 8 reps, which is what I was aiming for, my second set, I'm resting like 90 seconds. My second set, and I'm doing a superset as well, which I'll talk about, but my second set, I'm doing 6 reps. If I could hit 8 reps on my second set, I did not push my first set hard enough, or I rested too long, which is a big reason why a lot of dads spend way too long in the gym, right? You're resting too long, you're running back and forth between, different equipment, and it's just taking ages. Your best bet to reduce your rest time is, number one, first of all, reducing your rest time, but also number two, introducing things like supersets and giant sets and circuits, where you're going from one to the next to the next. They're ideally different muscle groups, so you're not taxing the same one, right? Because if you did an incline press to a push-up to a chest fly, by the time you got to the chest fly, you're going to be fucking buggered because you go through them with no rest. Whereas for me, some of my easiest supersets, I'll do a 1-arm row using the back of the bench as stability with a dumbbell chest press, the same piece of equipment, back and forth, back and forth. I'll do a T-bar row with a lateral raise, right? 2 dumbbells I can carry with me anywhere. I'm never doing an exercise that's not a superset, right? Because I've got limited time. If you have 90 seconds rest at the end of doing 2 exercises versus 90 seconds rest at the end of 1 exercise, and then you do another exercise, you've cut your rest time in half. So focus on resting less, because the goal is for you to hit that fatigue point and hit that failure point. You actually hit that easier with less rest. And 60 to 90 seconds is optimal for muscle growth as well, which is what we're aiming for in this in the fat loss phase, right? We want to, and it also increases the intensity, keeps your heart rate higher. Like, you don't want to wait for your heart rate to come all the way back down. You want to stay in the zone with it. And something that Mike Israetel says, which I love, it's like, we didn't come to the gym to not work hard, right? It's like that's the whole point of it. So stop resting so long and use some techniques to give you a little bit more bang for your buck in there.
I agree, mate. I think supersets are obviously a great way, because if we're doing a couple of reps and we're getting 60 seconds, we're going a chest press into some form of row, then we're doing the row and we've got another 60 seconds before we go back into the chest movement. You're actually having probably about 2.5 minutes rest in between the stimulus back into your chest, so you're getting plenty of time. I do think that if you are resting so long in between your sets, like, because you get a lot of people telling you, and some of my guys, I've been looking at social media, and then this dude says rest 3 minutes. It's like, mate, is he a dad? Does he have time constraints? Okay, if we're trying to get let's just say 18 to 20 sets in a workout. And you do. If you're doing like full body splits, we're probably going to be hitting about 18 to 20 sets in a workout. Anything above 25 sets in a workout, you just got junk sets going in there. So let's just say 18 to 20 sets. Now, if you're resting 3 minutes in between every single set, okay, not including like you got warm-up shit going on, that's 60 minutes of rest across your workout. Like, how long do you think you can go into the gym for? Because that's a minimum hour and a half session. Packing shit up, doing the actual working sets, okay, putting stuff away. Like, I don't have 90 minutes 3 times a week in the gym to be able to do my weights. Like, I need to be in and out between 30 to 45 minutes with my weight training sessions. So I need to do supersets. I need to do giant sets. I need to maximize my time. So I need to use the tools that we have in our tool belt as coaches for ourselves. So we're not just wasting time in there. And again, that's why I would do full body 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not trying to lose fat at the moment. I'm just trying to maintain muscle, right? So, if we're looking at maintenance, twice a week full body maintains muscle mass, guys, right? I think, it depends on where you are with your focus, you have to go, I don't want to rest too long because that means I'm not doing what I need, which is, putting enough stimulus through my muscles because I can't get the sets in. The last mistake that we want to talk about today, guys, is a sloppy form and rushed tempo. And like all of you have seen it, you've seen the gym memes, you've seen the videos on the different social media apps. It's like if you rush the rep, like you rob the result. Now we don't want that. You'll see people lifting too fast. They're lifting with their ego because back in the day they could do this, and they'll let momentum do the work, right? We want to try and decrease the momentum and focus on the muscle moving the weight, not the momentum moving the weight. So guys, full form. If you're doing a chest press, like you want to make sure that you're bringing the dumbbells down just close to your chest. Like, tuck your elbows in slightly. That's going to protect your shoulder if you're doing dumbbell chest presses. It's understanding how to do the movement correctly first as well. Making sure that your tempo, like the lowering phase of anything, and you can play around with tempo, but we don't want to go into that today on this podcast. But you can look at it and I want to go about a 2-second lowering phase. Okay. And then I want to try and, lift the weight as best as I can. Okay. Now, if you can lift the weight fast, the weight's not heavy enough. Okay. Just so we're understanding. If I'm doing a bicep curl and I'm lowering it down by my side, then I'm going to do about a 2 to 3 second lowering phase and really focus on controlling the movement. I can't rip that weight up within 1 second anyway. In tempo, it will be like an X, right? So do it as fast as you can. Now, if that is way too fast, then you are lifting way too light. So lift up the weight and then focus on the form and the tempo with that as well. What do you reckon, Jace?
Yeah, no, I think tempo and form, like when it comes to, especially when like revisiting sort of the injury discussion too, a lot of the injuries that dads have and a lot of the tightnesses and the issues come from not using full range of motion, right? And the bottom of a lot of these exercises, the harder part, right, is what we call the weighted stretch. Like the hardest part of a bench press or a chest press is at the very bottom. This is when you are actually getting a lot of like mobility benefit. Like a lot of people don't think about weight training as mobility, but a lot of weight training is just weighted stretching. And that is a big stimulus. Like if you're sitting at the bottom and you're focusing on, like I'll do this with, like sometimes my gym has a machine chest fly that I have to put into the, like most of them are combo machines, right? They are a chest fly, but they're also like a reverse fly for your rear delts. I have to put it into the reverse fly position so that I can get enough of a stretch when I'm like leaning back. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I mean. But like leaning back to get enough of a stretch, because otherwise they start just like out here and I'm like, well, my chest isn't being stretched at all. But that helps you build that range of motion. Right. Same thing with doing a shoulder press. Like you want to lock out all the way up and all the way down, because I think there was a study. I need to revisit this number because it was fascinating. It was like something like 40% or even more of people over the age of 60 couldn't put their arms straight up overhead, right, without either like leaning them forward or not fully locking out. And that's a bit of mobility that you lose.
Man, like I still coach in the gym, right? So we have the gym down here, and I'll see so many guys over 60, and they don't, and not just over 60. It's coming more and more. So because we're so prevalent, being Prevalent, I don't even know if that's the word. We're on computers so much, I'll just say it like that. We're so forward with everything that we do, and we're not strengthening our back. We really probably should have a 2-to-1 pull to push ratio for most guys coming into their 50s, because we need to strengthen our back and have external rotation work, because even when they're doing pulling, they're rounding their shoulders forward. So what actually they're getting is they're getting internal rotation through the shoulder joint, which is causing further tightness. Now, what I'll see was when they're extending their arms above the head, for anyone that can see this on YouTube, they're coming to about here. So if they're doing that,
like
they shouldn't
60,
be
70 degrees.
Yeah, it's going 60, 70 degrees. If you're doing that, you don't have the mobility, there is no way that you should be trying to lift anything above your head anyway. You need to alternate the exercise. You need to, okay, I need to work on my external rotator cuff strength. I need to stretch out my pec minor. I need to probably do some form of, go see a remedial therapist. I probably need doing some mobilization through my spine on a foam roller. So you've got, okay, that's all a part of your program, guys. I think that's a big thing you're also missing. Oh, I want to lose fat. It's like, yeah, you also want to move like a human that can actually move without pain. And I should be able to extend my hands straight over my head, and my biceps should be able to be attached just behind my ear, right, without shifting your head forward. So if you can't extend your arms straight above your head, it's like, okay, we've got some mobility issues. We need some mobilization. We have some strength issues we have to work on. I think, okay, we need to alternate that maybe into an upright row. We need to go into some external rotator cuff work to try and strengthen it, so we can open up that shoulder and retract your shoulder blade, your scapula, so we can pin that back. And I think when we're looking at your programming, I think this is a big thing. Don't download some fucking thing off the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
We want to make sure our programming is specific enough to help us get the result, and not generic, so generic it hurts us in the process. Okay. I think that's where it needs to be, because I see people going, oh, I'm going to do this, 8-week challenge, and it's only $100. It's like, yeah, it's $100 for a reason, right? It's because it's going to hurt you, right? Unless everything works well. But I've never met a dad, okay, who is 20 kilos overweight where everything works well. I just haven't. I think we'll get to the point where, some of our guys can use very similar programs after they've lost the first 20 to 30 kilos, because we've strengthened up their right muscles, we've loosened up the right muscles, and they've stretched, they've lost 20 kilos of weight, and then the body starts moving correctly. Cool. Now you can go, if you want, buy that $100 program after we've helped you get to that point. And that's like, 4 to 6 to 12 months, depends on where you started. Or you can just stay with us and we can keep coaching along the way. But I think, guys, you got to not rush the form. You got to not move your body around the weight, and actually move the weight properly, okay, with controlled tempo. Focus with your mind-muscle connection on actually activating the muscle. If you're fucking swinging it around like a crazy person, you aren't at all. You aren't controlling the weight at all, okay? So you need to be, and you can't focus on the muscle that's doing it. So if we need to drop the weight, again, it goes counterproductive in what we said earlier, but we want to hit 2 reps in reserve at a weight that is adequate for form. And I think that is probably the caveat. So drop the weight if you need, because obviously, like, quality over quantity, okay, especially with the weight you're lifting, and then you'll get stronger and be able to lift that weight back with good form over time. It's like slow is smooth, smooth is strong, right? And strong is what transforms your body. So remember that, guys. Now, you don't need to overhaul everything. Like, if you're listening to this and you're already training, fucking kudos to you, right? You just need to fix your blind spots, right? You just think you're driving a car from the 1970s and you can't see what's going to come after you if you're trying to change lanes. So I want you to fix your blind spots. So I want you to train harder. I want you to train smarter, and I want you to have a structure. And I want you to track this. And if you're wondering like what you should be doing based on your time, your body, and your goals, like, this is what we do, guys. We make it simple. Jump on to the Score app quiz. Go to our email list and you can get that sent out to you. You can send us a message, and it's also going to be in our Instagram bio. And if you actually just want coaching and you're like, you know what, I need coaching because I need to be I want to be pointed in the right direction and just be shot at my goals. That's what we do. So go to fit-dad.club and let us help change your life, guys. And that's all I wanted to say for today. Jace, what do you got?
No, that's it for me as well. Just, if you recognize from this episode that you've got some blind spots, and it goes deeper. The deeper you go into it, there's blind spots. This is just, one aspect of training. We didn't talk about 5 other different aspects we could have spoken about. We wanted to keep it simpler. We could have talked about nutrition, and there'd be equally as many, if not more, blind spots for people too. So if you want to see where your specific blind spots are, rather than just go through something generic, let us know. This is what we do, right? And some of the information is going to be really beneficial. Some of you need some more than others, and that's where the individualization comes in. But head to fit-dad.club or check out the link in our Instagram bio to take the Fit Dad quiz, see what's been holding you back, and see what you can do to move forward.
Too easy, guys. We'll hear from you next week, guys, and keep trying to be the best version of you for your kids and your family.
Peace out.